baby. It's your boy Shaka B and that mafioso that done died, the coldest ninja with a nunchuck swinging behind his back, aka Shaka Black, aka Shaka Fuego, aka SB Panther, aka Shaka B and that, aka Shaka Flame. Whoa. Listen, if y'all ain't really recently been caught up with the world news and all this crazy shit, man, listen. The government told us that they found alien or non-human bodies in crashed spaceships. You feel me? And you want to know what's so crazy? The world is so messed up these days, nobody really cares as much as you would think they would. I mean, they really told us they got UAPs now, which is a UFO, flying around the sky. They can't track them. They can't do nothing about them. They fly at thousands of miles per hour, and they can stop at the drop of a dime. They can stand still in the air in the middle of the weather of storms, snow, sleet, rain, and all that. You know what I'm saying? And nobody really cares. It's like, but we got a UFO. I think he is a UFO expert or something like that. He with the goofy smile and stuff like that. We're gonna see what Dr. Steven Greer has to say about his first UFO encounter, and he's on VladTV. So I don't know what Vlad got going on, but I guess he done with rappers. He talking about
okay.
UFOs.
This is going to be
that is not DJ Vlad voice.
Fascinating conversation for so many of us.
Did I miss something?
We always wonder, is there life beyond the stars? We see so much in the news, and we have been taught so much over the years of our lives. We almost don't know what to believe. But today's guest, Dr. Steven Greer.
I ain't gonna lie. If you pause it and you look at him, don't he look kind of like a iguana or a reptile or something like that? He might be one of them.
Is an expert in the field of UFOlogy, if you will. He's the founder of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence and the Global Disclosure Project, which seeks to disclose the alleged classified UFO information. Please welcome,
he's a shapeshifter,
medical doctor, Dr. Steven Greer. What's up, buddy?
Good to be with you.
No, I ain't gonna lie. That boy a reptilian.
Love being on your show.
Absolutely. Dr. Greer, we got so much to cover. I've watched you over the years. I know your work. I have seen your films. I want to be enlightened.
Serious disclosure. Don't make me educate y'all.
Let's go back to the beginning. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in North Carolina. I actually did a Chapel Hill residency. I'm an emergency and trauma doctor, medical doctor.
Shout out to that.
As I grew up there,
you don't need to look this way.
From a very, very poor family.
Oh, he got to let us know that.
Two-room shack with no heat, no air conditioning. Put myself through high school, college, med school. Was very involved in a lot of avant-garde issues even back then. Believe it or not, I had an African-American girlfriend in North Carolina 50 years ago.
So he on DJ Vlad, so he had to let y'all know he came from the streets and that his girlfriend was black with a big booty. Okay, appreciate it.
That was dangerous. I'm talking dangerous. But it was great. We grew up in a very modest background, but worked hard, got through med school, had 3 kids in med school, but got involved with this. My mom's oldest brother worked on the lunar module, that first machine that landed on the moon in 1969.
That boy's smart.
And
He's
that
smart.
was Northrop Grumman. Back then it was just Grumman, and it became Northrop Grumman. And he had his whole career there. And so I had a very keen interest in all of this. And when I was about 8 years old, I actually saw one of these extraterrestrial vehicles, broad daylight. This would have been about 1963
never stop.
in North Carolina. And I was with my twin sister and some boys in the neighborhood. Now, my parents said, "Oh, you didn't see that? Those don't exist." I said, "Yeah, they do. People need to believe their children when they see something, honestly." So it ignited a life.
I'm going to say this. My daughter be seeing monsters under the bed and stuff like that. It might be a monster in the closet. I know y'all heard of Mike Wazowski, so I don't know about all that.
Lifelong interest And I talked to my uncle about it. He was very supportive. He'd heard things, being a big aerospace engineer guy, working on the Apollo mission, landing on the moon, right? So I began digging into it and studying it, and here we are, 60 years later. Back in, it went from 63 to 2023. I've been digging into this. It's a deep dive.
What you find?
Okay, before I get into your professional career, I just want to understand you as a person.
Well, if we don't know nothing else so far, we know he had a black girlfriend with a big booty in the hood that was dangerous. Shout out Dr. Steven Greer.
You're raised, are you in a religious family? Does your family believe in a higher power?
Well, no, my family were more humanistic. They weren't religious at all. But they were open-minded, about things. My dad was Navy, World War II.
Shout out to that.
Neither of them, had a religious viewpoint. But I had some experiences when I was 17. I got very sick and died. I had a near-death experience.
Oh, wow.
And I learned that the conscious mind is actually based in sort of an infinite field of awareness, sort of this concept of the cosmic mind. So I had this phenomenal experience,
which is God.
and that introduced me to some ideas and concepts and experiences that led me to dig into this whole question of life in outer space and intelligent life elsewhere very deeply. And about 6 months after that near-death experience, I had a major encounter with an ET craft, and that was up in the mountains of North Carolina in October.
I ain't gonna lie, they say if you see a UFO, they done put a probe up there. They put a probe all the way up there, and they put you back on the ground after they done probed, and they wiped your memory.
For 1973, so there's a long kind of history of that. But my birth family, if it didn't fit in a test tube, they didn't think it existed. I mean, they just were not at all religious.
Would it be safe to say that they were atheists?
Agnostic, more, just didn't know, didn't care. They grew up in hyper-religious families, and but very fanatical and strict, and so they kind of rebelled against that. So my parents were like,
hey, shout out to my boy Hairline. He is holding on to that hairline. You feel me? But we're going to definitely get into part 2, because he ain't say nothing, bro. He ain't say nothing juicy, bro. We got to get into part 2, man. We got to get into part 2. We got to hear about these UFOs and stuff, man. It's your boy Shaka B and Mafioso, the Dundada Coldest Ninja with a nunchuck swinging behind his back, a.k.a. Shaka Black, a.k.a. Shaka Black, a.k.a. Shaka Black. All that, man. We can finna get into part 2, man. Don't worry.